Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Art and Soap. Well, back in the studio with another flip through. I feel so accomplished this last couple of weeks. I actually have gotten 3 projects off of my desk. So this one I had gotten really behind on. It's a slow stitching project. So if you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I hope if you enjoy this video, you'll give me a thumbs up and click on subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future videos. Also click the little bell and you'll get a notification when I post a new one. Today's video is a slow stitching one. Like I said, I started this project. It was Roxy's Journal of Stitchery 2022, and it was a year ago then that it was started, and I stayed pretty good on track until the last month, and I got really kind of stuck not knowing what I wanted to do for my page. And then I still had the title page to finish, a last page to finish, the spine cover to finish. The original book cover that I was going to use ended up not being a thick enough spine, so I ended up switching to this cover that I had made out of cereal boxes. This was one that I had used in my demo, and it's 2 layers of cereal boxes to make it as thick as a book cover would be. And then I had covered it in dictionary page, and then over that I put a layer of my scrim so that it had that book cloth feel. And then I just used some distressing to kind of give it a little grungy aged look. So that is the part as far as I had gotten on my cover. And so I'm going to just go through and show you how I finished it up. I was doing monthly videos up until this point. So I went through, let's see, it would have been the first month, January, I guess, or we started in December, in January, February, March, April, May, June. So I have videos. I'll put a link down in the description for this entire playlist so that if you want to watch my videos, I did a much more detailed each page, and I'm probably not going to do that in this video. But it was a really fun project. I had not done slow stitching before. I'd done embroidery just as a kid, learning, embroidering on your clothes and stuff like that. But nothing like this, nothing like sampler work. So I wanted to learn more about slow stitching, so I followed that series. Since then, they've done, it's Rachel and Sarah Roxburgh who do this on Roxy Creations is the channel. And I'll put a link to the series that I followed to do this one in case you want to start it. Even though they did it back in December or a year ago, they've done 2 since then. They did a kind of a Christmas, winter, holiday themed one for the last 6 months of last year. And I didn't do that one because I hadn't even finished this one. And then this year they've started one on a spool. And it's a garden themed one. I'm not participating in that one either because I had already started another project that I'll show you at the end. So it's a lot of fun if you're wanting to learn how to slow stitch. They do a great job. You get to see it from 2 different people's perspective working on the same project. And then all of the hashtags, everybody posts their work. And so it's a lot of fun just to see what everyone else does. So this one, like I said, I'd never done anything like this before. So I'm really glad I didn't finish my cover and do my spine cover until the end, because I was able to take fabrics and things that I used from each of the months and incorporate it into my spine cover that's all slow stitched too. And I've shown this a little bit before, but I'm happy with how it turned out. Like I said, I used different fabrics and even some of the different stitches and things that I used inside the journal. And one of them was some fabric from, now I'm drawing a blank, Kathy Holden Fabrics. Actually, I don't think this one was, but I used some of her pictorial fabrics. Flea Market, I think, is the name of one of them. But in one of my fabrics that I had, and I don't know if it's one of hers or not, but it looks like newsprint. And so I was able to pull out some of the text from those. And I really liked the daily because it's a journal, and weekly chat. I cut off part of it, but there were videos every week. So it just kind of is a nod to the theme of the whole series. So that's my cover. I did a spine cover instead of doing the whole book cover because I was wanting to get it finished, and to me it would have taken a lot longer to try to slow stitch a whole cover. So I'm really happy with this turned out the way it turned out, because this kind of looks like newsprint even though it's dictionary page. So inside, for my inside covers, I decided to go ahead and do fabric. I ended up using ticking for my each page, and so I went ahead and used the same ticking, but I just ran it the opposite direction. It made it easier than having your eye kind of not line up all these lines would have bothered me. So the quicker, easier thing was to make the stripes go the other way. So I like that it just makes it kind of go with the flow of the book. And I don't think I had shown this, but my title page is finished. I know the lighting in here is really bad. Let me see if I can, if that'll make it better. This casts a shadow, but at least you can get, you can kind of see it better. It's getting a little late in the day here in the mountains. So I wanted it to look like a title page, and again, kind of use some of the colors and different things that I was using inside. And I put a little doily on here, some lace. This is one of the fabrics that I used elsewhere, but I just cut out the birds and kind of appliqued them on there and then filled in with some stitching. This little Journal of Stitchery 2022 I put on there in my name. That is something that I think I showed it maybe before how I did that. I did it on using Adobe Illustrator or one of those, and this was kind of a template off of Heritage Fonts, I think, that I just customized. So the design of it was there. I just swapped out my words for the design and then just stitched over that. It just made it an easy way to get the writing on. And I've done that again at the end, and I'll show you that, is you can print on fabric. So I printed what I wanted on the fabric and then just stitched over it. It made it really easy, even for the border and that kind of thing. So that was the first, my title page, which wasn't really part of you didn't have to do a title page, but because of the way my pages were going to lay out, I wanted something on a front cover. And then the first thing that we did was a sampler sort of thing where they would teach you 5 stitches a week, I think, because we did this in December, just kind of getting ready for it, which was nice because it kind of, if you're experienced, it's just kind of a nice reference to all the stitches and different ways of using the stitches. So for me, again, I was new to this, didn't know how the project was heading, when I started. So I was making mine kind of close together. So by the time I needed a second page, but I wasn't going to fill up a second page. So I actually added, I think, 5 or 7 more stitches out of a book that I had, just to kind of fill up more space. And then I decided I wanted to do a little kind of patchworky heart with some of the other stitches, like a satin stitch and some weaving and that kind of thing. That would be easier than doing it in a straight line. So those are my sampler pages. After I saw what other people were doing and never having done this before, they would maybe put a reference number and the name of the stitch, which is really handy because especially if you're brand new and you don't know all the names of the stitches. So what I did was, at the end of my book, I had my last page, but then I had fabric to fold over here to finish up, getting it all sewn in neatly. I didn't want just extra nothing. So I ended up making kind of like a glossary in the back. So for my back page, I typed out in just a real simple font, because originally I thought I might want to stitch all these, and then that just seemed like a lot of work, and I wanted to do it in the same color, so I thought, kind of, what's the point? So instead, I just stitched just kind of a running stitch, but like skipping space in between. I don't know if you can even see that, but just so it shows black and a color, and it kind of makes it look a little bit different. So I decided to put all the stitches I did and then the prompts, so that each month I would know what our prompt was for that month. And so it was just kind of a fun reference in the back. And I went ahead because I had enough space and just did a tiny little sampler of the stitch, so then I can, go and kind of find it and see what I did, maybe more variations of it over here. So that was my way to kind of finish off and end my book. So our first actual month then was Vintage Lace and Bouncing Bunny. So this was our January page, and I won't go into it in great detail, but I used some, vintage lace for my little winter cottage, and then I did a little bunny. The funny thing for me in this, not knowing what the next months were going to be, it seemed like every single month I would put something in my page not knowing it was going to be a prompt for a future month. So it's kind of, in a way, made it nice because it made the book really cohesive, because you kind of see a duplicate theme somewhere else in the book. So this one was February. And for that one, this was neutral background and fancy flowers. So it was funny because I had done a neutral background for this one, even though it was vintage lace. And then this month it was neutral background. So the nice thing was it took me from winter, which is when we started this, with a lot of white, which is what I see out my windows. And then as spring comes, it starts to get more colorful into the book. And so you'll kind of see that as a theme for me throughout my book, is how the colors progress through the year. The next month was March, and that was vintage or reclaimed fabrics and a butterfly. And I used some of my husband's old shirts, scraps that I had made aprons out of his shirts, and then I had those scraps left. So I used those for my reclaimed, and then some vintage lace again. And then even the butterflies, there's some blue jean material from old jeans, and some silk from a silk kimono that I had used to make a lampshade. So some just different reclaimed fabrics. And then the next month was old quilt and a country cottage. And I used an old quilt that had it made it look like the sun. And then this was the Kathy Holden fabric that had kind of a scenery. And then my cottage, which I had a cottage in January too, and then the flowers in February. So it was kind of fun to repeat that again in this month. But you can see it's getting much more springy, colorful, and sunshiny, and that sort of thing. And then the next month, which I hadn't shown these two at all, favorite color and beautiful bird. Well, my favorite color is the rainbow. I can't pick just one, so I wanted it to be really colorful, but I used some of my rusted fabric, because if I had to just pick one maybe thing, probably my two favorite, at least at the moment, are natural rust and turquoise. And so I used let that dominate a little bit in this one. And so I did my bird. I kind of tried to do like a painterly effect of it. And this is an actual robin that I took a photograph of in our yard, that we have a lot of robins that hang out during the spring and summer. And so I had an actual photo of our robin. So I used that in this one, and then just tried to kind of use the thread to make it look like it's actually, painted on. And then I really struggled with this one. So I had used my rust dyed fabrics. And then the last month was hand dyed or painted fabric and a heart. And the heart should have been easy for me because I use hearts a lot in my things. But I really was kind of not sure what I wanted to do. So I went ahead and used all different rusted fabrics, even fabrics that had been printed fabrics. I rusted those too. So that got my hand dyed or painted fabric, were all rusted fabrics. And then I just started, adding these hearts that were, again, a fabric that I had rusted and tea stained. And I decided to make them really kind of patchworky, because that is something that I have always been drawn to is patchwork kind of things my whole life. And I've kind of, it's been a running theme throughout my different work that I've done, different mediums, different kind of things, but I've always liked the patchwork thing. So I thought that would be a nice thing to kind of end this on. So I really tried to kind of just kept adding stitching. There's some little actual metal rings from my jewelry making in here, some actual rusted screen that I've stitched on, and then just, just kind of going with the pattern of the fabrics that had pattern, and I just kind of kept adding and building layers on layers. So that was my last page, and then I just finished this one, and that is the end of my book. I don't think I'm going to put a closure on it because it actually is the right size for the cover that it has. So I'm really happy I finally have it finished, and I'm sure I'll love to pick it up and just kind of look back, because even as I look back, at each month, it reminds me of things that were going on in the world or in my life at that time, because I've kind of hidden little messages in all of these things. So I'm really, it is a journal, it's something that I'm going to remember things about. Now, the new project that I'm working on is, I had so much fun, but I wasn't going to start the next Roxy Journal of Stitchery things, is I went back and watched some Anne Brooke textile, and I hadn't really ever watched her before, but I knew that I had wanted to do something on a spool, and I had been collecting these, and I thought this was kind of a nice size for one. I have some smaller ones too that I think I'm going to do maybe some more colorful things. But I think, when I was digging through my rusted fabrics for that last month and last couple of months, I had done these a while ago. I did some kind of eco-dyed things with some flowers and just rusted fabrics and different things. And I have them all in a container, but I hadn't really used them too much. I've used them on some book spines and that kind of thing, but not a whole lot yet. And so I decided I was kind of in the mood to just do something all neutrals. And I thought this project was really good. This is a project that she did like 2 years ago, I think. She's 2 or 3 years ago. I think this was 2020 maybe. But you can go back, and watch the series from the beginning, which is what I'm doing. And then just kind of, it's for no purpose other than sitting by the fire at night and doing something other than knitting. So I haven't gotten very far yet, but once I feel like I have what I need finished at this end, I can go ahead then and attach it to my spool, and then kind of just work with it on here as I keep going. And I don't know how long I'll make it. I may end up cutting that off and not even making it that long, because I've also started another project that she did the following year, which was a soft book. So I just wanted to share this. It's something that you could, put a dowel through here or something and hang it on a wall this way, and it hangs down, or just have it wound around and sitting on a shelf that you pick up and look at every once in a while. Or even, maybe I use it like a snippet roll. And if it's the width, I think I kind of measured to see if it's the width of a spine cover. Once I have them done, I could actually cut off, sections and use those as spine covers. So that might be a really fun thing to do, because when I'm starting it, I'm not thinking of it that way. And so it'll be really organic. But I think this kind of, when it's finished, that kind of style will look really good on the old book covers that I like to repurpose. So that, could be kind of a fun project with no purpose, and then it ends up having a purpose. And then the last thing that I just wanted to share is the next. I haven't started it at all except for putting the book together. I think I've only watched that first video of this one, and I think this was her Anne Brooks textile again. I think this was maybe 2021. She did this for like an annual project kind of thing. So I think it's been a few weeks since I watched one of the videos, but I think she does like, I don't know, it may be per month, I'm not sure, but like a spread, with some kind of prompt or theme, and so you just do that spread and then this one. And I went ahead and made the book like she did to see what it would be like to actually work in it when things are already finished and it starts getting chunky and all that, see what that would be like. So I've started that one too. I also want to do, she does the 52 tag one that's kind of like a reference ring of tags. Again, where it would be like a little prompt. You know, this is just like if you get stuck, they're like little simple, short, quick projects. You know, you're just doing a tag. And so she does one a week. So I think I'm going to follow that challenge too, just because when you get stuck and you just need some inspiration, you can just pick a tag or two and say, oh, I want to do that part of it on, you know, a big project or whatever. So I've started a few of different slow stitching things just to have something different in the evening to work on. So that's my share for today. I hope you liked my little flip through, and if you have any questions about it, put them down in the comments, and I will see you soon with another project. Have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.